So I wasn't, you know, particularly in the situation where I wanted to go ahead and brag to my farmer friends. They all of a sudden started seeing me as a competitor,
Mm.
and they all of a sudden said, "Well, man, his grapes are in the top 10% of table grapes. What's that guy doing?" And of course, when they heard the word limestone, because nobody was using limestone, so he's whacked out on some type of thing, that he's doing.
He's not buried in chemicals. He
Yeah, no,
discovered
he's
some
not
new
using
chemical.
these Chevron Chemical Company, the biggest chemical company in the world that has the smartest scientists and the smartest pathologists and physiologists and nutritionalists of anybody in the world. And well, how could you possibly think that you could be any smarter than those guys? Well, I had Watt McGugan, and he was pretty smart. And of course, he was somewhat singularly minded with limestone, and CO2 was the two things that he brought to the table with me. Then when I looked at organic matter, and so the breakdown of organic matter produces CO2, and CO2 plus water produces carbonic acid, which is the natural acid of the soil that breaks down nutrients so that the nutrients are more available to the plant. And I just said, well, that's nature's way of getting nutrients up into the plant. It's not Chevron Chemicals' way.
Mm-hmm.
That's nature's way of doing it. And so at the time, I just says, I didn't learn that at Fresno State. And I was disappointed that, that there was so much that was left out. And I was basically being brainwashed into the chemical system, which of course, when I did it the first season, we went straight chemicals and it was a disaster. And thank God it was a disaster. Otherwise, none of this would have happened.
Mm.
And so, or praying underneath a grapevine and the next day having the newspaper article. And the next day, the guy shows up at the farm. The next day, he gives me all this information that I didn't learn at Fresno State.